it's Jen here at Check Her Joy. This time I'm reviewing City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. It is the third book in the Mortal Instruments series, and this book is epically amazing, and it's fantastic, and I felt all the feels. And I screamed, cried, yelled at, hugged, anything, everything, all of it while I was reading this book. It is freaking perfect. So I cannot do a spoiler-free review of this book. I don't think it's possible. So you guys should definitely start at the beginning of the series anyway, which is City of Bones, and come back when you get to City of Glass and join me then. Otherwise, spoilers! You've been warned. In this book, we finally get to see Alicante, Idris, the homeworld of the Shadowhunters. I'm so freaking excited about that. That in itself was amazing, because, like, all the Shadowhunters are like, oh, Idris, Alicante, I miss them. So we finally get to find out why and actually get to see it. I mean, it's a book, but, you know, up here. I'm wound up today, guys. Also, sorry, this book has done strange things to my head. I'm okay. Probably okay. Maybe going crazy. So in this book, they get to go to Alicante and see Idris finally. And everybody pretty much goes to Alicante and Idris, even though they're not supposed to. So Jace's brilliant idea is that Clary doesn't need to go, because the Clave will find out what she can do and try to use her. And the way Jace is going to achieve this is by not telling Clary the correct time so that she shows up later. And all the Lightwoods are like, hey, where's Clary? So how do we solve that problem? He wants Simon to come and tell the Lightwoods that Clary changed her mind. Right, that was totally gonna work, Jace. Do you not know Clary, and do you not know Simon? But they do get attacked by the Forsaken. Magnus has to open the portal. They end up going through to Alicante, so Lightwoods plus Simon, who wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, because that's just great. Eventually, the Clay finds out that Simon is a vampire who can go out in the daylight, which is incredibly unnatural, so Simon ends up in jail. Thank you, Jace, for that one. And Clary goes to Idris anyway, because she's freaking Clary. Clary don't care what you want, Jace. She's gonna do it anyway. So Clary manages to open up her own portal and is like, brilliant idea of, I'm gonna go to this place I've never been to on my own. Luckily, Luke grabs her at the last moment and they both go through the portal, because otherwise Clary was about to be very dead. Eventually, Clary and Luke do make it to Alicante, and the Clave is in this giant meeting trying to figure out what they're going to do about Valentine. And then what else happened? Lost my train of thought. Then Clary goes and finds Jace eventually, and Jace is like super mad at her, doesn't want to do anything, doesn't want anything to do with like Clary, because obviously if he ignores Clary, she's just gonna go home. Yeah, right. This entire, like, half this book was Jace, do you not know Clary? What is wrong with you? Clary feels really angry and mad at him, and she meets this new guy, Sebastian, and she starts telling Sebastian everything, which was A, really stupid, and B, also partially Jace's fault, because she really wanted to talk to Jace, and now she can't. She starts telling Sebastian everything that's going on, and Sebastian tries to kiss her, which is really awkward, because that turns out to be her actual brother. Jace isn't her brother, Sebastian is, but Clary kissed him anyway, he kisses her. It's very, very awkward, and is probably my least favorite part of this book. It was gross. Asas didn't like it either. Ugh. Clary goes so the whole reason why Clary wanted to go to Alicante was so she could find this one warlock, Ragnar Fell, who knows how to wake her mom up. She goes with Sebastian to do this, and when they get there, she actually runs into Magnus, and Sebastian's never met Ragnar Fell, never met Magnus before. He thinks it's Ragnar Fell. Magnus does some magic. He has a private conversation with Clary, tells her what's going on, that in fact Ragnar Fell was murdered, and that he knows what Ragnar Fell did, sort of. What he needs is this magical spell book called the Book of the White? The White Book? not the Grey Book, right? Whatever, there's another spell book. And he knows where it's hidden, but he can't get to it. They're gonna need Jace. So Clary goes to get Jace. They go to Wayland Manor, where Valentine raised Jace, and they find this magic spellbook. What they also find is that Valentine was experimenting with an angel. He had captured and locked up the angel Ethereal in the basement, and that is how Clary gets her magical powers, because she has angel blood in her. And that he had also previously conducted experiments on her brother, Jonathan, and that Jonathan has demon blood in him. Jace thinks that he is Clary's brother, so this must be him, and he freaks out, goes crazy, pretty much is suicidal, and kind of annoyed with Jace, because Jace just kind of believes everything. He's like incredibly gullible. Just like trust anything that's going on and be like, oh my god, and jumps to conclusions. But it wasn't Jace at all, so Jace, just chill. Please chill, Jace. Please. Anyway. Anyways. What else happened in this book? There are wards set up around Alicante so the demons can't get in, but Valentine figures out a way to take them down anyway, and there's this huge fight where the demons get into Alicante and they just start killing shadow hunters, which is mostly the children and the elderly, because all the adult members of the Clave are protected in the center of the city in the middle of like this conference thing going on. And chaos ensues. Luckily, Luke came with Clary to Idris, so he went and found the werewolves, and when he manages to get back at the same time that this is happening, and the werewolves come and help save the Shadowhunters, but unfortunately Max, who is the youngest Lakewood child, ends up getting killed. And that was really heartbreaking and devastating and just absolutely terrible thing, because Max is like the very definition of innocent. He was like 9, he didn't even have his first mark yet, and just all he wanted to do was just be like his siblings and read manga, but no, they couldn't let him live. It's heartbreaking. And then we find out that Sebastian was who actually killed him, and Sebastian's the one who let the wards down, and Sebastian's just freaking evil. Like, he is actually the child who has demon blood in it, and it's just, ugh. Like, I thought, if you're combining Shadowhunter blood, which is like angels, with like demon blood, wouldn't you come up with something like a fairy? But apparently, no, Sebastian's way more demonish than the fairies. Like, I don't understand. It's just like, not okay. Anyway, really, really hate Sebastian, in case you were wondering. But there is way more going on in this book. In the process, Clary and after that happens, which is awful, we have this moment where they go to break Simon out of jail, and he's been talking with this guy who's in the cell next to him, and he hasn't like seen him, and we find out that the guy he's been talking to the whole time is Hodge, which I totally thought died in the first book. Wasn't thinking he was going to be Hodge, and then it was, and I'm like, oh my god. And he kind of has this moment where he sort of gets to apologize to Alec and Simon, but I think Isabel's there, maybe not. Alec and Jace. He has to apologize to Alec and Jace, and I think Isabel's there, and he tells them about the mirror, and he knows what the last mortal instrument is and where to find it, and it's actually the lake, and then he gets killed by Sebastian, because Sebastian wasn't evil enough to begin with. Then, what else happens in this book? These aren't necessarily in chronological order, by the way. This is just what I'm remembering. And we have this beautiful scene in the middle of, not the middle, but like we have this beautiful scene between Jace and Clary, where Jace goes to apologize and to tell her how he feels about her, and it's just so romantic. And he says to her, "There is no pretending. I love you, and I will love you until I die. And if there's a life after that, I'll love you." I really love that line, and the whole scene with him, like, telling Clary, like, I know it's hopeless and this would never work, but I love you anyway, and despite everything, and it's just awesome. And Clary realizes that she loves Jace also, but doesn't tell him because she's whatever. It's so cute. I love that scene so much. Just totally romantic. Jace then has the brilliant idea that he needs to go off and fight Valentine on his own, and he does that, leaves Clary a note, and she's super pissed off at him again because that is basically Jace does one amazing thing and then decides, oh shit, that was a mistake, and then goes and they're mad at each other again. Well, sometimes Clary makes this mistake, but whatever. That is their relationship. We're together and then we hate each other, and then together, and just so much angst between those guys. Jocelyn finally does wake up though. Magnus gets the spellbook and makes the antidote. Jocelyn comes to Idris. At first, Clary is very pissed off at her, and I totally understand why. And then she calms down, and she and Jocelyn have this really long conversation where she tells Clary what's been going on. And apparently, Jocelyn was awake enough to hear what was going on around her, and Valentine has been in love with Jocelyn like the whole time, and he just tells her pretty much everything. He misses her and tells her what he's done, and he's like really remorseful about the things that he did to their son, and he didn't know about Clary, and just it's so weird to see this other side of Valentine, but it's also what I wanted to know too, was I wanted Jocelyn's view of things, like how could she fall in love with Valentine in the first place, and we get to see that here, like not just what everybody else says about not just what everybody else, like Luke is saying Jocelyn felt, but to actually hear her say her view of things. And it was really pretty, and I love that. And we get confirmation that Claire and Jace are not siblings, so thank you for that. Oh my goodness. And that's also the scene where we find out that Sebastian's actually Clary's evil brother. And I don't know, just the more we find about Valentine, this is like the one part where Valentine kind of becomes humanized a bit, and that he wasn't crazy the whole time. But yeah, pretty much I went into this book thinking Valentine was evil and awful. Like, there's evil in the first book, and then he's even more evil in the second book, and in this book is like completely insanely evil. He's been experimenting on downworlders to find out they find like the slowest, most painful way they could die, and he captured the angel. And there's the very last scene. His plan is to raise Raziel, who is like the angel who founded the Shadowhunters, and try to get him to eliminate all the Shadowhunters for him, so that Valentine can start a new group of Shadowhunters. And it's just like, what is wrong with you? And he thinks the way that he needs to kill one of his children to do this, so he kills Jace, and I'm just like, I freaking hate you, Valentine. I hate you. Like, everything Valentine does is just progressively worse. But I do love the end scene where the angel starts talking to Valentine, and he just is pissed. Valentine's plan is as follows. The Nephilim you created were a great race of men. For many years, they I can't read this. Basically, what happens is Valentine asks the angel to help him so they can start a new thing, and his answer, Valentine needs to take down the clave, and it talks about how like they're working with the downworlders, and this is not the original plan. And the angel responds back with, demons do not possess souls. But as for the creatures you speak of, the children of the moon, night, Lilith, and fairy, all are souled. It seems that your rules as to what does and does not constitute a human being is stricter than our own. Do you intend to challenge heaven like the other morning star whose name you bear, Shadowhunter? I love this. Azula's just like, no, actually, I'm not going to help you. You are completely wrong and miss the whole point of what you're supposed to be doing. And then Raziel kills Valentine, like spits fire at him, and I love that. I was just like, he's done. Bye. But he does grant Clary a wish sort of thing. Like, she gets a command she can ask of him, and she gets him she brings Jace back, and that one's just another really romantic scene where she's just like, I can have anything I want in the world, and the only thing she wants is Jace. I love it. Yes, I love this book. What else happens in here? Also, we have Magnus and Alec finally together, and I was like, yes! Right in the middle of the Accords Hall, Alec just runs up to Magnus and just kisses him, and it's just right in front of his family and everything. And it's really, really amazing. I love how that they came together. Just finally, actually together. Not hiding. It's great. Oh, and what Clary did with the ruin, like the rats, whatever, the rune. She gets this image in her head from the angel, and she comes up with a new rune that can bind the Shadowhunters and the Downwarders together, and they can share power. And it is just so cool, and that's how she gets the Shadowhunters and Downwarders to work together against Valentine's demons, and like all of the Downworlders come, and then they get seats at the council now. So now there are 4 extra seats at the council, 1 for each of the Downworlder groups, and it's so cool. And it's mostly because of Clary and Luke that they can do this. It's just, yes, I love it. And we get to see Jocelyn be like really proud of Clary and work out the whole like Jocelyn was lying to her, but and then Clary figuring out who she is anyway. It's great. I love it. I didn't explain that properly, but I love that whole thing. And the whole epilogue is just amazing. I love the epilogue. And the thing about Jace, we need to find out who Jace's real dad is, and he's like Stephen Herondale. And I just love that because it explains the whole like scar in his shoulder that like the first Inquisitor saw and was like, to tell you something, and it's just like, Jace is a Herondale, and I totally love the Infernal Devices, and I love Will Herondale, and Jace is related to Will, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's so awesome. Especially, they are basically the same person. Let's be honest. Jace and Will are like the same personality wise, and it's so cool to figure out that that's why. Like Jace doesn't see him. Jace doesn't see this connection he has to the Herondales and doesn't feel it, but having read the Infernal Devices, I'm like, you are so like Will in like so many different ways, and I love it so much. Yes. And there's another scene in the epilogue where Magnus is talking to a brown-haired girl, and I'm like, please be Tessa. Sorry, that was kind of maybe a spoiler. Minor spoiler for the Infernal Devices, but like, Magnus is talking to this brown-haired girl, and I'm just like, please be Tessa. Please, can that be Tessa? And I want Tessa to meet Will, and just, that is what I want. Anyway, I really love this book. I know this review is kind of just all over the place, and I really was screaming at this book and everything while I was reading it, but I love it so much, so yeah. I think that's all. That's the main stuff. Isabel gets some pretty kick-ass moments in here trying to save Jace, and Jace fighting Sebastian is a really cool scene, and we find out that Valentine was trying to raise Jace and Sebastian at the same time, and like they didn't know about each other, and just I love it. I really, really, really love this book, guys. I think it's amazing. This is kind of a good ending of this sort of trilogy, so I'm kind of worried about what's going to happen in the next 3 books. Like, this was too perfect. Things are about to start to fall apart again. Yeah. Probably going to wait a bit before I read book 4, so it might be a bit before I get to City of Fallen Angels. But I really do love you guys. There'll be more coming. Peace out. I love you, and keep reading. Bye.